go.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to episode 24 to MRJ Smith. We're going to be talking about blacksmithing and stuff. It's going to be awesome.
Yo, just so you know, 24, 12 was a lucky number for me. It has been since a very long time ago. So 24 is 2 times 12, you and me. That's like 12 and 12. So it's not a coincidence. Let's just say that this is episode 24.
It's your favorite multiple. My favorite number is 3. 3 is a good number.
3. Yeah, 3. That's the best number. You can't argue with that. That's the ultimate number. 7 is another really good one. Nice American flag t-shirt, by the way.
Thanks. I was just out doing work. This is my work shirt.
Yeah, good. That's about right. A Canuck wearing the American flag work shirt. I like it.
It's comfy. And I bought this shirt when Trump got elected just because I knew that people would be irritated because they hate Trump. And
Good man.
It made me laugh. So,
what do you guys think of Trump in general?
Depends on
Because
who you're asking.
Trudeau, we think Trudeau is a huge moron. That seems to be the general vibe. That I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of what we think too.
Yeah,
that's pretty obvious. But that's what politics is. That's why we shouldn't pay attention to politics. We should talk about blacksmithing because blacksmithing is awesome.
All right, yeah, let's talk about blacksmithing. All right, so throw down the next. We're gonna do the blacksmithing challenge. Throw it down on your podcast. We'll have to get Z involved somehow. We can mention him and when you announce it on Twitter or whatever. But what's your idea for the next challenge?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really have very many ideas about it. We could. I was thinking maybe doing that chisel thing, like I was talking to you about earlier. But
yeah,
I'm totally open to suggestions. I don't have a welder though, so I can't really build the things that you built.
Oh well, I mean, welding is a totally different deal. I don't use it. I haven't used any welding in the blacksmith challengings other than to make tools to help with it. I mean, honestly, just throw down a tool making challenge. Like have we done that yet? I don't think we've even done that yet. You called out tongs and then you didn't even make it until like a week after.
I'm still not even done.
Really? You haven't even finished yet?
No, but I mean, it's all set up. I could use it, and it's not as snowy anymore.
Dude, I saw that. I saw your tweet that it was like you had straight up accumulation too. That wasn't like it snowed the other day here, but it was like, it was like 40 degrees outside or like, 6 or whatever Celsius. I don't know what you guys use.
Yes.
And, there was like a couple snowflakes falling and I was like, oh, it's snowing or whatever. But that you tweeted the other day and it was like legit snowing, man. You've had a really rough spring. It's been super dry here actually. I noticed today as I was going out that the road was super dusty and it's either at this time of year, it's either like really muddy or really dusty, depending on whether it's a really wet or really dry spring. And it was pretty dusty and dry. So, but it seems like, I mean, man, that's snow. Like you haven't put anything out yet. Have you planted perennials or anything yet?
I mean, I almost, I got a job. Well, I mean, I don't want to count it yet, but I won't be here this summer, so I don't want to bite off too much.
Oh, really?
I'm hopefully
Where are you gonna be?
If it's not so fucking rainy, I might be working on. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, so I don't want to say what it is. But if it works, it'd be sweet, and it's always good to get a job offer out of the blue.
Yes, especially if you can make a lot of money, which sometimes those you can. But speaking of chickens, what would you do with your chickens? Because I saw.
Well, I built those for my aunt and my mom, who are sharing like this chicken coop thing. So none of
Okay.
that is mine to take care of. The only thing I got is my dog, and I take her with me.
Yeah. Okay.
And I guess the weed plant. I would have to I'd have to
Of
find
course.
somebody to take care of that.
You gotta bring those with no matter what. That's
I would probably just put it outside and, leave it for the summer and then get back before fall.
with the weed plant, I don't know. I feel like do you just have it in like a 5 gallon bucket or something?
No, I made a cloth bag for it, so it should be all right. I mean, you'd want to water it, but it's just like a potted plant.
Sure. Yeah, I saw those pots that you made. I'm intrigued by that with the air pruning and all that. I'll have to try that at some point.
It
I'm
works really
pretty
easy. I was so surprised. I thought it would be more tricky to, so like the circle. I mean, it's not that easy. I always fuck it up, but whatever. If you fuck it up, it's not that bad. It's just basically a garbage bag for dirt. And so, but the next ones I'm gonna make a little bit smaller so that they fit in the trays better. This one's just like slightly too big. But yeah,
the only
it works really good.
the only thing I would be concerned about with those is like do they dry out super fast? Because for us, we put like a little fan on them that we turn on and off, just like a little bit every day, just so that they don't get leggy. And this is actually the first year we've tried the fan. Before we were trying to do it like I will not use electricity to do plant starts. Like I will not use any electricity. And the seedlings got kind of leggy and weak. And this year with the fan, man, that made such a huge difference. They're just like so much stouter. Like the tomato plants are like, maybe it's also the light because last year was really like rainy and cloudy, and this year's a little sunnier. Um, I don't know, it's hard to say, but the fan, anyways, with the cloth pots like that, do they dry out or do you have to like
Uh,
water them? I feel like you'd have to water that like a couple times a day.
I'm kind of experimenting with it. Before I had them where I had them on those hydroponic beads, so like the bottom of them never dried out. But that kind of, they're going for the air pruning thing, so you want the bottom to dry out too. I don't know. Uh, I found that the bigger you make it, the easier it is to maintain how humid it is around the roots, right?
Sure, just because you have more soil in there.
Yeah, doesn't change as fast.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll have to try that because I do like the air pruning idea. I'm like more of an old schooler with just the some people use the like 6 packs or whatever where you get 96 in a tray. To me, those are too small and I'm just too lazy. So when I transplant them, um, I just like transplant them too late or I don't because I'm too lazy. So I've moved to the 4-inch pots where you just start them right in the little square pots, but they're plastic and they don't have any air. So you don't get that air pruning effect. And the roots definitely sometimes do get like pretty root bound and pretty dense in there. So I am intrigued by the air pruning concept. I just like haven't. It'll be interesting to hear your results with that. I guess is all I'm saying.
I don't really have a control group, so if it goes well, it goes well.
Well, I'll be your control group because I'm doing the, I'm doing the 4-inch plastic pots, and we're not the exact same climate or whatever, but we're at least like within. If you had like a world map and you threw a dart at it or whatever, you could call it either of our places. You know what I mean?
I'm glad to hear that it's dusty down there. That might mean that it's not so swampy this summer if it gets
Yeah.
warm ever.
That I saw that it's like a solar minimum or whatever on
Grand
the
solar
sun.
minimum.
Yeah, the grand solar minimum on the sunspots and all that activity. So I think I mean, last year was like, it was a cold summer, you know? It was like, normally we have a season called the bake. We call it the bake, where it just like stops raining like mid-July until the beginning of September. It like doesn't rain at all. It's just hot as fuck. It's like the sun is just scorching you, you know. Here it's like, you know, 32 degrees maybe, which I know isn't that hot, but like for here that's pretty hot.
In
And
Fahrenheit?
no, 32 Celsius,
All right. Yeah,
like for
that's
80s,
nice.
lower 90s. So yo, you're in Canada. I thought you guys use metric. What's up?
We do.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
you do.
But it's
Okay.
totally fucked up. We don't always like if you ask me my weight, I would say it in pounds.
Oh
And
really?
most of the time the oven is in Fahrenheit. Uh like we just pick and choose whichever one we want to
Hmm.
be metric we go with. It's very like
I
strange.
see. I'm always pissed when I go to Canada and I see those speed limit signs and I'm like, oh, 70. Like, yeah, like that seems about right. But then it's like 70 kilometers an hour. I'm like, damn, that's fucking slow. You know, I'm driving like so slow. It's like this super straight road that's like flat and it's like speed limit 70. And I'm like, okay, like I can get down with that. But you know, and then when it goes to like 50, you're like, oh my gosh, this is super slow. And you guys have just rip off gas prices, man. I used to live in Alaska,
Gas here is
and
like 50 cents now
oh really, a liter?
a liter. So I don't know what that is
Okay,
per gallon.
yeah, that's actually about the same prices as here, because normally gas prices are way higher there. I remember when I lived in Alaska and me and my homie road tripped up there, and we spent like $2,000 on gas. Gas was like $2 a liter back then, and it was like $3 a gallon here. So that's almost like three times more expensive in Canada. And
That's
one of my
crazy.
friends, yeah, it was so ridiculous. And one of my friends, he like lives in America but works in Canada and stuff, and he would like put 55-gallon drums in the back of his truck and pump gas in Alaska at the border and then bring it into Canada. And like he had this little 12-volt pump hooked up and he would pump it from the 55-gallon drums into his truck, kind of like a slip tank but a super ghetto version. And that's what he would
Exactly.
do.
But that's actually better than the slip tank, I guess, because you could make way more barrels. You could fill the whole bed of your truck with barrels. I think that'd be a lot of fucking
Well,
gas.
yeah, except for the fact that like the customs guys would get on him. So he would like pile shit up in his truck, you know, so that like when they opened it up and looked in there, they would just see shit. And he only had like two drums up against the window or whatever. Anyways, that was like 10 years ago. You know, the times are different now. I'm glad to hear gas is so cheap.
I'm not. It sucks. Price of oil means that there's going to be no work around here for a while.
Oh, sure. Yeah, because you do the like oil field shit and like welding on the pipelines and stuff or whatever.
Well, I operate equipment, so I'd be in an excavator like holding a pipe up, you know.
Oh, sure.
But yeah,
Damn, well that sucks for you. But in general, you do have to admit, you know, well, I don't know, maybe it's different in Canada. In America, you know, cheaper oil usually is good.
well, I
But
mean, I'm not complaining. It sucks that I'm not driving right now. It would be a
yeah,
good time to drive cheap, you know.
sure. Is the oil and gas industry deemed essential in Canada even?
Probably, I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, by some people more than others, I would say. They don't really want people doing oil and gas in some parts of this country, and in other parts of this country, it's what everybody makes money doing.
I will say, like, I used to be back in the day. I used to be like pretty like environmentalist. I was like a peak oil dude. You know, I was against all of that. And nowadays, not so much. I see it more just like whatever. It's it's economic activity. It's not that big of a deal. But some of the tar sand shit in Alberta, like you have to admit, like that's taking it a little too far. Like shale plays and stuff, like the Bakken in North Dakota in America. It's like, fracking, like, okay, whatever, I can kind of see that. But like the tar sand shit in Alberta, it's kind of like, I'm not so sure about that. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I don't really know what you're referring to. I've been to some oil sites that were so well cleaned up you couldn't even tell it used to be an oil site. But, obviously there's some examples of it going extremely bad, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
I'm very much for it, you know.
yeah. Oh, dude, believe me, like I I rue the day that like oil is not available and like I can't put gas in my car and diesel in my tractor and all that shit. You know what I mean? I definitely rue that day. But
You would think that we would outgrow it, like how we went from like Shudra says, Kodak like film, like old school cameras to like digital. We didn't abolish old school cameras. We just kind of moved on,
well,
you know.
so that's a good point actually, because I think in a certain way we have with like batteries and electric powered shit. Because I was thinking about this today. I went to town. I normally don't go to town very often, and I went to town today because I need to get some stuff. And I was in the like farm store or whatever, tractor supply, whatever. And I was in the chainsaw section, and in the power tool section they had like an electric chainsaw, and I have a battery powered chainsaw that I seriously do not even use my gas chainsaw anymore for pretty much anything. I hope that I can never use it again, to be honest. Like I prefer the battery powered like Milwaukee M18 brushless. Like the torque on this thing is so massive. You just like you pick it up, you slap a battery in it, and you blast through a log. It's like it's super quiet. It's instant. You don't need to like fill it with gas and like mix the gas and do all the bullshit. You just like pick it up, put a battery in it, and push the button. And so I think like we are evolving past gas just with like electric vehicles and stuff too.
That does sound
And
like a Tesla. They're way quicker, like torque. They're
oh,
fucking torquey.
dude, they're super torquey, but like I would buy, if I had enough money, I would buy a Tesla. And also the super innovation is whoever comes up with a way to charge these things. Right now you need like 240, like this like cord that thick that you just like plug in there, and it draws like 10,000 watts. And
I mean,
because these
a
batteries use so
Tesla's
much.
nice, but it depends on what you need it for, right? Like, I could never have a Tesla because you drive out someplace where you're in the cold, you get in a machine, go operate, and then at the end of the day, you get back and your Tesla's frozen solid and you'll have no battery at all.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the charging technology. They need to figure out a way to like charge these more slowly over time. So right now you need this like huge ass plug, and you plug it in there and it draws all this current. But once they figure out a way to make it like super low current charging, where you can just like have solar panels on top and solar panels on the hood, and like all the paint and stuff like blends it so it looks cool or whatever, and just like parking it, the sun hitting it for that day keeps the battery, even if all it does is like the solar panels have a heater or whatever to keep the battery warm, because the cold temperatures are what screws that battery. It reduces the capacity by like 70% or whatever once it hits below freezing. So I know this because Teslas themselves have like heaters on the batteries, and it'll actually, when you like go to start the car, it'll use some of the battery to heat the battery up, because you'll actually get like more power by using some to heat it up
That makes a
and
lot
have,
of sense.
you know what I mean? So once they
Dude,
have like
I
solar,
heard that the Tesla truck, that thing that rolls down over the bed, it's a solar panel.
oh, exactly, like that's what I'm talking about. You have like, yeah, tonneau cover or whatever, and it like rolls out and it's a solar panel, and it just like either keeps the battery warm or just kind of trickle charges it, or just gives it like just that little boost so that you can get home, you plug it in, put it in your like solar system or, you know, whatever, and you charge it overnight just enough. You know, they have a range of like 400 miles now. The batteries are getting really good where you can have these huge ranges, but to charge it up is what I'm saying. Because like for me, I would only need to drive like 20 miles. You know what I mean? I wouldn't need to go that full 400. So I would just need to like bump that up a little bit. But there's no way to get it to charge it on such a low current right now. So once they figure out how to like have these things just by like being parked, because like think of autonomous autonomous operation. You've got like a car, it's just parked there, you've got like 10 of them, they're all just chilling charging up, someone summons one or whatever, and the one with the most charge like pulls out and goes and picks them up and brings them to where they want to go, and then it parks somewhere else and starts charging, and there's 10 other ones right there, and then someone else calls one, and whichever one has the most charge goes, and you know what I mean?
Very sci-fi, but I get what you mean. If it charged itself, it'd be nice. I don't know. I certainly won't be switching anytime soon till, you know, they figure out the cold thing.
All well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if even if all you did was use the solar panels to have a little resistance heater under the batteries, that could make a huge difference.
That's a smart idea that when you just like you're starting it up, it's like glow plugs for a battery, you know? It heats up your battery and then you get better electricity.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, that's the perfect analogy. It's glow plugs for a battery. Because, well, another thing is uh, when I lived in Alaska, speaking of which, we would usually have three plugs out of the front of our car. We'd have an oil pan heater, a block heater, and a battery heater. And you could buy battery heaters. It was like the perfect little pad, and you just put it right under your battery, and you plugged it in, 30 minutes before you started your car, and it would heat your battery up. So that's like exactly, if you just had a solar panel or whatever, or you had it hooked up to your house and all it needed was like a couple 100 watts to heat that battery up. Now your battery has just like tripled, quadrupled, quintupled in like cold cranking amps or whatever. And then you're just on your way. So the my only point, like I'm not gonna switch to batteries anytime soon either. But my only point is that like there is an evolution in place, and I
Well,
know this because
the
of like my
chainsaw, like you were
chainsaw.
saying, right? Like the
Exactly.
chainsaw's better and Teslas are faster, but I'm not in a race.
Yeah, me neither. But I am gonna use like any technology that's available to me. You know what I mean? Like any technology
Awesome.
that's better.
And apparently those doors are bulletproof. Like that truck's gonna be insane. I can't wait to see one in real life.
The only problem is they look so stupid. I hate how they look. They look so stupid. I
They're
can't
pretty
believe they
crazy
made it
looking.
look like that.
I mean, I don't know. I want to see it in real life. But yeah, it definitely looks it's like sci-fi, you know? We're doing a sci-fi episode. Blacksmithing sci-fi. What's a good sci-fi? Or do we decide on making tools? Is that a good idea?
I I'm down.
All
Let's
right.
do a tool making episode. I love making tools.
I gotta finish those tongs, and yeah, that'll work.
I saw I saw an interesting thing about making tongs. Like you took a super long bar and you bent it like this, where you had like a it was a single piece, but it can you envision what I'm doing here?
Yeah, I understand.
Where you like bend a thing with like a ball on the end, and then you fold it over, and then you just cut right here, like at the top of the ball, and then they line up perfectly.
I totally got lost there, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry. I did
no.
a bad explanation. I'll send you a picture on Twitter or something. But yeah,
I
just
got I
finish a
got half
time.
of them done. I'm just gonna make the next one the same, and then stack it and put a rivet in it, and hope it works. It'll be better than fucking the channel locks that I've got.
The angle on those channel locks is hard to deal with. There's
Well,
no
and they're
doubt.
also fucked. They got bent, so it doesn't line up very well.
Oh, really? Because you torqued on them too much?
Yeah, and they were too hot, so they just twisted.
Yeah. Yep. The problem.
So yeah, that's what kept me from finishing that. I mean, obviously it's one factor of why I didn't get the tongs done last time we were doing tongs. I didn't even have
There,
my anvil set up.
there's been a lot of shit going on too in the world.
Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy time. How is Idaho for quarantine? Are you just looking like life's normal?
Um, Life is mostly normal. I would say so. The governor just extended the lockdown until the end of April. Um, but life is mostly normal other than the like big box stores. If you go to like Walmart or Home Depot or whatever, because it's like a national, international thing, um, they have to do all the like they put like tape on the ground and stuff like that, and they like count how many people are going in and out. But for the most part, for all the local businesses, people don't really care that much from what I can tell. um
It puts me in an interesting position because I don't really stand in lines, you know? So
yeah,
when we go to the store, somebody else drives and then they go wait in the line. And when they're at the front, I just kind of like walk in. It's so fucking often that people are just like, wait, what the fuck? No, fuck you. Why aren't you at the line? Because they're just people and that's what people do. But, I'm not going to stand in line. That fucking hurts, right? It sucks being in this weird line situation. Did I lose her? You seem frozen. Yeah, we lost connection. Yeah, so that's a thing. But that is life being injured in a way people can't really tell.
yeah, yeah, man. It seems like here in America, at least, the consciousness is shifting where people used to um they kind of like just followed what they were told to do, but now the vibe that I get is that people are beginning to like question that and be like, wait, like this is lasting too long or whatever. There's a lot of pushback. I'm seeing like protests now. I wasn't seeing that before, but I'm seeing protests all over the place. Is that kind of what the vibe is in Canada, or
I don't
I
know,
don't know?
man. I haven't really left the house. I've been kind of busy. I made a chicken coop, and I've been doing this online school, which is just extremely fucking boring for a lot of the time of the day. There's like an hour in the morning, hour in the afternoon, an hour at like 3 to 4, and the guy just talks. This was not meant to be online school, but all of a sudden it is. So
What's the school for?
I was just I applied to like a job ad where it was like you want to get paid to be trained to do this? And also, they're gonna recertify me for my first aid and my H2S. But now it's looking like none of that's gonna happen. So I don't actually know. It's a strange situation.
Yeah, man, it's super weird times. The only thing, okay, so you mentioned you might be dipping out for a job or whatever. Now, to me, in my experience, I've seen two different main strategies. Uh, and I have a good example of this. There's someone who, speaking of chickens, and like you just built that chicken coop or whatever, one person who was like a friend of my wife's from work or whatever, her neighbor, she had like hundreds of chickens, and she would like supply eggs to the local kind of like natural food market or whatever. They're moving and they're just like giving their chickens away for free. Like these are like commercial grade, like 1 to 2 years old, production hens, and they were just giving them away because they were moving closer to the city.
That's awesome.
And
Are you gonna take a bunch?
yeah, I took some. I got 20.
20. Nice.
Yeah. So they just like, I showed up. They're like, "Yo, what's up?" We went to their coop. We like grabbed 20, threw them in there. Just like I put a canopy on my truck. I actually just took it off because I usually leave the canopy or the topper or whatever you call it, camper. What do you guys call them there? We usually call them
Canopy,
topper.
topper, cap. You know,
Yeah.
I leave mine off my truck too. Well, I mean, I don't have one, but if I did, I wouldn't put it on anyway. I mean,
Well,
I would
I,
if I had to carry chickens around.
I put it on in the winter and I take it off for the summer because I'm getting, like loads of shit and soil and
Yeah, you can't.
whatever. And it doesn't rain anyways in the summer a lot of the time here, but it snows like all winter. So I leave it on in the winter, take it off in the summer. Anyways, we just threw them in there and it was just like 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're running around, they're happy, but it's like, man, which strategy do you take? Like the like husband, he was doing the chickens and the wife had a job in town and like she lost her job, so they're like, we're moving to the city. And I'm just like, man, like you're giving away 100, 200, whatever it is, chickens like for free just to go like pursue a job. Like I'm not sure that's the super smart strategy here. Like you had like at least some income off selling the eggs to the natural food market, but it's super hard to say. Like it's so uncertain in the times. It's like, which strategy do you take? But those are the two main strategies I've seen. It's like either pursue more stability and more kind of like the old, or maybe what we would have used to think of as stability versus the new. I just feel like there's been this like shift in consciousness and the culture and everything where I don't know, like I took the chickens, like I'm obviously in one camp. I'm in the
More
like
chickens
produce
is
your own
better.
food. Yeah, like the more food you can like give to the community, the better. But I
And you
don't
have a
know.
rooster, right? So you'll get lots of chickens and nice ones, right? Because that's good.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, they gave me a rooster too. That was like, they had all these like lineages and breeding and all this stuff. And they're like, here you go. And they just gave it to me for free. And it was just like, man, like, this is like thousands of dollars worth of value here. Like, you have this like entire bloodline of chickens that you've like bred that are like to the level that you can sell these eggs, that you're like making money off selling these eggs, and you're willing to just like throw all of that away and give it to some stranger for free. It's just like,
I wonder if you
what
could
happened?
yeah, I wonder if you could mail me like a cardboard box of little, baby chicken, maybe even in the eggs, just an egg carton of
Yeah,
eggs.
fertilized eggs or whatever.
That'd
If
be
you have a
dope.
broody hen, honestly, that's the way to do it. I'm it. People like when you live off grid or whatever, you have to figure out different ways to do things. And those little infrared heat lamps, those use like 250 watts. And leaving one of those on 24 hours a day, much less like 1 hour a day for our situation, that just would not slide. Like we have we have way too tight of a rein on our electricity usage. We're to the level where it's like you have to turn on certain lights and stuff. And like it was super sunny today, so I turned this light over here on and I like feel good about it. But you know what I mean? Like you have to really um keep a tight rein on that stuff, and 250 watts is a lot. You know what I mean? Like
So,
that's no, you could have like 30 light bulbs on for that much, 30 LED light bulbs. um
are you
and
all off grid? Do you have like just only batteries and solar panels and stuff?
yeah, we have only batteries and solar panels. We do have a generator that we can like charge the batteries with if it's cloudy
Yeah,
for a super long time.
for backup.
um but we do uh have a stream that's like down the ravine a little bit, and there's enough like drop on that stream where we could put a micro hydro plant in, and I intend to, but that's just like I haven't done it yet because it's kind of like an engineering problem where it's not just like having a good site, but it's also figuring out how to support the pipes, because once you have like a big old pipe, this big, and they're 4 inches, so that's that big, filled with water, and it's like 150 feet long. uh that weighs like 1,000 pounds after it's all said and done, and the water just like blasting through there, it like shifts the pipe downhill and stuff. So you have to figure out how to like keep that pipe super steady, and it's just this huge engineering fiasco. But I do intend to do it because Shudra was bragging he has like 5 kilowatt hours of solar arrays, in Australia. And I was like, dude, I don't care about your solar arrays. Like, once I get my micro hydro plant in, it's going to smoke you. It's like 24/7.
What would you do in the winter though? Because it frees up in the winter.
It actually doesn't get that cold here, believe it or not.
Also,
The
go all
coldest,
year.
yeah, -12 is the coldest temperature that we recorded last year, and that's like at night in the coldest of the cold snap. It'll like, it'll tap -12, but it's really not that cold, and there's so much snow that we'll get like 2 or 3 meters of snow, just like you can't even walk through it because we're like more mountainous. So
I could help you make that micro hydro. I watched a dude build it, and I used to be a stonemason, so what he did looked really, really simple. I mean, we could talk about that. It wouldn't be that hard. It might be complicated though. Um, like I might not be able to explain it, but how does your stream, like, when it's going downhill, is there any area that you could just put like a short wall and would fill up like a gully there?
yeah, like a little dam wall. There's some natural like features that are pretty much like that. So all I'd have to do is basically put the pipe in there, and for and it's like a pretty straight run downhill as well. So the main thing is just like fabricating the whole enclosure. I was thinking of buying one, but they're like $1,500 to
It's really
buy.
easy, man. I'll I'll walk you through it right now. You divert it so that it's not going through there, right? Or you build it somewhere off, and then you reroute the stream to go through it. And
Hmm.
all it is just one concrete wall, and then at the very top you get like a slipway. So you just put an indent where it's lower in the top, and then I mean, the guy I was watching this video just had a plywood box going out of it, and then the downslope on the plywood box, right? But if you're just doing a pipe, you could just put a pipe in the concrete wall, and then it would go out the pipe.
Yeah, that's probably what we do. The bigger thing for me is just figuring out the like turbine and
Yeah.
fabricating that. Like I've seen that you can make them out of like washing machine motors and stuff where you just spin them backwards and it's an alternator or whatever. But um that's the hard part for me is like figuring out how to make the little like turbine, the wheel with all the little cups on it. It's just like, man, like, can you just buy one of those, or will I have to like TIG weld one out of aluminum or whatever? I don't know.
You could probably make one.
Probably, but that's why I haven't yet, is just because it's not like so easy as just doing it, you know what I mean? Yep, it's like a real project. Like it'll probably take like a week or two, you know. But right now planting plants is the main thing because
Yeah, that's the
is
season.
there is there still snow up there?
I mean, it snowed
We were talking
yesterday,
about this before. It
but
snowed yesterday.
like you were saying, it didn't really stick to the ground. When it hit the ground, it melted, but that was a nightmare because then it was glazed in ice, so it was fucking sick.
Oh man.
But
Oh, ice. That's tough, man. How long is your growing season? Like less than 90 days?
it's not really much of what you could call a growing season. It's you can finish some things that are extremely fast, but really it's like a greenhouse and indoor growing game. That's the whole idea. Or
Yeah.
have I ever talked to you about this YouTube channel called I hope I don't fuck up his name. I think his name is James Bigger, and that's how you usually find the channel. But the channel is called RST Technologies. But if you type that in, you won't find it. So just if you look for James Bigger, like Bigar, he does crazy shit, man. He made this like uh, DIY epoxy like windmill turbine. Like the wires inside that generate the electricity and stuff with the magnets. He like made one all on his own. It was crazy.
That is super crazy. I I feel like there's got to be a really nice balance somewhere of, because when I was thinking of like a micro hydro turbine, for example, it's like, oh, you just like find an old washing machine, you take the motor out of it, and it's like, bam, there, you've got all your coils, all the shit. It's like all in this nice like cast
Yeah.
housing or whatever. You just like bolt it on to your new thing, and just like using epoxy to like, form cast your own thing and like hand winding it. That's super cool. Don't get me wrong. That's like super cool.
I feel like you
But
would
it's,
get better results than like anything you would buy off the shelf, because that's like next level.
well, yeah, you might get better results, but even if you don't, it's just like the amount of investment that you need to put into it. It's just like, you know, finding a used washing machine on Craigslist or whatever. It's just like zero effort, and you just like buy it, for $50 or whatever, take the
Or like
motor out.
some people I've seen use treadmills, like that little motor in a treadmill.
Oh, sure.
So I don't
Yeah,
know if you can use it for
anything.
like a generator. That was
You
like
just
for
wire
me, the
you just
motor,
wire it backwards,
right?
you know.
Well, you spin the crank backwards, right? Or I guess it wouldn't matter which direction.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you can either spin the thing backwards or wire it backwards. I guess that's the same effect. You do, I think that's the thing, is like, I haven't looked into it enough, is that I think with one of those scenarios, you get like a big efficiency loss or something. I know that for a fact that the washing machine motors are used for this, and you just like wire them backwards, or car alternators, you know, because those are 12 volts anyways. Just instead of the engine spinning the alternator, you have like a water wheel on it or a turbine or whatever, and those can put out like 30 amps, you know, 70 amps. If you have a truck one, you know, like 100 or whatever, and like that's a lot. So
I was looking for scrap steel, and all of the fucking junkyards do not give you any. They will only take your scrap metal.
I know, dude, that's total bullshit. I was at the local scrap yard, and I was like, yo, I will pay you like way more than it's worth. You know,
And they
like
still
way
won't.
more than what you're gonna get for like some old car springs, like leaf springs and coil springs, just like 4140, 5160, like whatever. Anything that's not just like total garbage mile steel, like I will give you like 10 times the scrap value for it. You know what I mean? And they're like, no, 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 like we're not doing that. You know, it's like, fuck you guys.
I don't get it. It was surprising when I figured that out. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? You can't reuse it. It's being recycled only. That's so fucked up.
It's being recycled into like shit, though. That's the
Yeah,
thing. It's like,
crushed.
yeah, you've got these like decent alloys, you know, like spring steel. Like they put a lot of effort into like alloying that to make it into that. And then they just like melt it down and like burn off everything and turn it into crap mild steel or like tin cans and shit. You know, it's like, ugh.
Yeah,
Someone's got to figure out a system to get that.
I completely agree. One of my favorite shows way back in the day, I don't know if you guys had it in America, it was like they'd go into a junkyard and they had to make something out of scrap. Did you get that in your country?
Junkyard Wars,
Junkyard
dude.
Wars. Yeah, man. That was an
Yeah,
awesome show.
that show kicked ass so much, even though those junkyards were like completely
Totally
stacked.
rigged. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally
they were
rigged. You'd
totally.
never
They're
find
like,
it.
oh, dude, like a Chevy 350 small block, like perfectly intact. Like, sweet, we'll use this. And they just like pull it out. It's like, come on, like no. But the
Still,
spirit of that show was awesome.
yeah. I think it'd be awesome if you could just do that, reuse all these things that are just sitting around being turned into junk. But
They have here, so I know living like in the satellite of Calgary, you know, the Calgary Stampede is like one of the biggest rodeos. I think it's actually probably the biggest rodeo in the world.
I don't know if it still is, but it definitely was at one point.
Anyways, you know the culture. Like rodeos are big around here. At the fairgrounds, you know, like the two big events, there's like the rodeo and the demolition derby. And one year I gotta enter the demolition derby. I gotta find just some like piece of shit old car and like weld some channel, like 8-inch channel on the side, you know,
Yeah.
for when they T-bone you so you don't die. That's one thing that I like have to do it before the party's over. Just like doing the demolition derby, it's just like such a symbol of the like opulence of our culture, you know, just like
Let's
I'm gonna
trash
like
some vehicles.
yeah, just like I'm gonna like crash this car into someone else. I have to do it. This might be my last year.
It's like that
I don't
dude
know.
that's got like a $60,000 Jeep that they take for buying, and then
Yeah,
somebody else is like $1,000 Jeep. That they're in the same place.
exactly. I have a just like a total piece of crap 4-wheel drive like old Subaru type car, and it's like, dude, I've taken that thing like more places than most people have taken their $60,000 Rubicon Jeeps or whatever, with the like they have all these like custom racks and like their high-low jack mounted on the hood and like spare gas cans on the back. It's
Yeah,
like, dude, I've taken my like piece of crap from the 90s like way more extreme than you have.
I had a Subaru. That Subaru Outback was fucking sweet. I would never say a bad word about that thing. It always started, no matter fucking what. You could be like minus 45 out, and you'd go just turn the key, and it would just fucking start up, no problem. It's
Those things
wild.
were sweet. Those were sweet for a time in like the early 90s, but once you got into later eras, like in the early 2000s, their quality just like dropped off the board and they started sucking. I don't know. That's been my experience with them, but you know, Subaru makes a good car.
It was an old one for sure. It's just cool because their engine's like opposing, so they go in like the same line opposing. So maybe it's easier for it to get warm. I don't fucking know how it works, but it just always did.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy fucking Subaru. So what seeds are you starting under? You were talking about how you got a light and a fan. Fans are awesome, man. The, you know, I love using a fan. Make them way stronger.
Yeah, the fan is clutch. Right now we just have the, you know, like tomatoes, peppers. We've got some cabbage, um, some winter squash. Just mainly some of the stuff that takes a long time for maturity, I guess.
Yeah,
A lot of the cold weather standards. Um, I don't know. I just put in like a bunch of new garden beds today, actually, just right over here. I put in 7 new raised beds because we got to amp up our production, man. You know, like,
it's a good time to be a farmer.
yeah, I wouldn't call myself like a farmer at all. I
Well, no,
would,
but if you were, it'd be an even better time to be a farmer. You know, like it's just
yeah,
now
I
is the
think,
time.
yeah, I think the best, like one of the best positions you could possibly be in would be a small scale farmer who has like a CSA kind of deal where you've got like, you know, 2 or 3 acres of production that are like super intensive and you can just like blast stuff out.
Like Curtis
Because
Stone.
yeah, exactly. Like Curtis Stone. He is so well poised to just slay this because, you know, all
Yeah,
the supply chains are getting fucked up and all the like food supply and stuff is all weird and we don't even know what's going to happen. Like maybe it'll get worse, maybe it'll get better, but the thing is people like think it's going to get worse or a lot of people do. So just being like him and having like some local chain thing where it's like, I live over here, like worst case scenario, you can like drive to my house and like, here's your subscription or whatever. There's not all these like millions of middlemen in between. I think they're just going to kill it so hard this next year. And I've seen some stuff. I don't know about Canada, but in the US, there's like a lot of meat plants that are closing. The
yeah,
farmers are just like dumping all their stuff, like all the dairy. There's a lot of farmers who are like tilling in all their onions. They have like, you know, I've seen articles where it's like 2 million pounds of onions, or what. It's like, dang, you
yeah.
know, that's a lot.
It's insane. But I mean, nobody's
Well,
eating in a restaurant, so where do they put all that fresh food?
well, I don't see why they can't just sell it or whatever to people, but
I know you'd think the price would just be so low. Like right now, you could be so fucking well fed, but no, they're just
well, you
dumping.
can though. That's the thing. Like I was at last, it was like a week or two ago. It was a while ago. I was at the grocery store and asparagus was like 68 cents a pound. You know, you could get like this much asparagus for like $3. And it's like just buy a shitload of that and can it all and like
Yeah,
bam, you're good.
exactly. But
But
they fucking throw it down the drain because nobody's eating at a restaurant. It's like we live in a silly time.
it's super silly, but we can like, I don't want to say capitalize on that silliness, but
That's pretty
I
much what
do
it is.
think, yeah, I do think Curtis Stone or people like that are dead on that. Like, it's not capitalizing on it. It's like just helping people. You know what I mean? regardless of what happens, you can't go wrong by having a bigger garden. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or,
it's a pretty low
or
risk sort of hedge, you know, like if shit doesn't collapse, you just have more food.
and I don't think shit's gonna like collapse necessarily. I think shit's just gonna um it could be tough. Like I'm seeing more and more articles where they're like, oh, there's gonna be like food shortages, but like it'll be temporary. And it's like, like I don't know how comfortable I feel about even like a temporary food shortage. Like I
Yeah,
would prefer to have like enough food where there's like no food shortage. And the only real way to do that is to go local. And luckily, like since I live rural or whatever, there's like tons of people, like a lot of my neighbors. You drive to town and you pass a couple fields and there's like a bunch of cows over there and a bunch of pigs over there. And it's like, okay, whatever. Like worst case scenario, I could just go to them and be like, yo, like here's some cash. I'll trade you for like a whole live pig or whatever, and then just butcher it myself. But a majority of people are not in that position at all, and I really fear for them. In the cities, you're just at the mercy. You are straight up at the mercy of all of these things that you have no control over.
it's wild. I was talking to Sal about it, and he's in New York, and like he can't even get milk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like shit is fucked. But apparently it's different wherever you are. Like here, everything seems to be fine. We were out of toilet paper for a while, but now it's back. Um,
Is so is Sal in New York City though?
Nearby, I guess, area.
Dang, that sucks. I wonder why he'd want to live there. I'm like shocked that he would want to live there. I
Well, that's
saw
where
that
he's
you
from,
didn't have
right?
him. What?
That's where he's from, you know? It's like the reason we live
Oh,
where we live.
yeah. Well, I'm actually not from here.
Where are
I'm
you from?
from I'm from Minnesota.
Uh,
It's like Lake Superior.
right. Near Michigan, right?
Yeah, kind of near
Ish.
Michigan.
Is it like along the border?
Ontario. It's like south of Ontario.
Right, right, right.
So that's where I'm actually originally from. But we moved out here just because it was just too populated over there.
Well, I mean, I don't. I've never been east, but I guess Edmonton and Calgary are pretty big cities. They're both like 1 million people.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call Ontario east, you know. I
I mean,
I
I
don't
do.
know. How do you do it in Canada? I would call like Quebec. It's like, yeah,
You're right.
Nova
Uh,
Scotia.
there are fringe cases where Ontario people are like the exact same as Western people, but like that's the East, you know? Anything, anything like that's Hudson Bay, the East. In my opinion,
Sure.
obviously,
It,
don't quote me.
it's kind. I get it. Like in Minnesota, the Mississippi River would go right through there, and anyone who lived east of the Mississippi was like an East Coaster. Like if you lived in Wisconsin or wherever, you were an East Coaster. I can dig that.
I mean, it's totally arbitrary. People are just individuals. Everybody, you know, in all the places acts different. It doesn't matter. But I like being in the West. I don't think I would enjoy my time if I went to the East.
Yeah, the climate is super nice over there, though. You have to admit.
I wish I knew what it was like. You know, fucking like we were saying, 90 days of summer.
Yeah.
Rough.
Have you ever ventured from home, or have you pretty much spent your whole life chilling over here?
I mean, I traveled once, but I've basically, you know, stayed around. But I've lived in a lot of places in this area, like lived in a couple places in BC, whole bunch of towns in Alberta. I live in the Yukon, like all over this sort of geographical area I've lived, but never in the East.
I loved the Yukon, man. That was some beautiful country, and the people there were really good, and just the culture. The Yukon was a lot like Alaska, and I just really enjoyed it. And it's cool, just like the Yukon territory, you know?
Old
It's like,
timey.
yeah, it's old timey. It was great.
Yeah. I mean, I want to go gold panning in the Yukon. That's my next goal. That'd be fucking sweet. Especially if you found some gold, but even if you didn't.
Well, the um we have like a stream on our property, and actually one of the neighbors was telling me like he was telling me a really long time ago there's a gold claim down at the bottom of the stream. So maybe you should come over to my pad and we can pan for some gold and look for some quartz veins or something.
That would be sweet.
Because
Set up like one of those really wicked like sifter tray things where, you know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've never done that, but it would be interesting.
that would be next level if you had like those fucking machines set up where you just shovel the fucking, gravel and dirt and then it gets washed down all these things and then at the end of the day you like check what you got. But I've done a little bit of gold panning, but I never found anything.
Yeah, I've never done it. There are people around here who like dredge the rivers, though. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know enough about it, but
Dredging the river for like gold.
yeah, they'll like have these huge vacuum things and they'll like suck up the river bottom. And since the gold is like heavier,
Yeah. Then it goes
it
through
like
their
gets sucked.
systems.
Yeah, it like drops down. I don't know. I get the impression they don't really make any money off of it, and it's more for fun. But more power to them.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't exactly consider that like a business idea. That's just sort of like a vacation that would be fun. And also, I couldn't enjoy a vacation if there wasn't like a hobby to do. So a gold panning trip sounds like exactly perfect. But, you know, it just involves a lot of stuff I got to do before. But, that's perfect. That's
Mm-hmm.
the whole idea.
Yeah. So we talked about. You mentioned business ideas. Like, what do you think are the best business ideas for the current time we're in, for just like the current vibe? Like, more people are staying home. Whether or not we think that's a good idea or not, it's a fact. Um, have you thought at all about like business ideas or just something that people could do
Yeah, man.
to like, I don't know, just take it from there?
Just today, I was thinking it'd be a good fucking time to be in a seed producing business. Like, I don't know how you would change that from like a regular crop, but it'd be a good goddamn time to be producing seeds and like selling them. But you would need like a whole fucking variety, or unless you just grew one type of seed. But like, I don't know. It seems like a pretty good time to have like a very good, diverse base of self-sustaining sort of life under your belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's definitely a great idea. Because seeds, well, in the US, I don't know if this is true in Canada, but in the US, like a lot of states are banning the sale of seeds. So there's kind of like two paths you could take, is either the local one where you have like your one variety where you're like, yo, this is the like land raised tomato variety, like this will grow, this is awesome. And you sell it to just people in your community or trade it or whatever. Or there's like the kind of like more national level where you can like grow an entire field of like seed
Yeah,
and sell them. But yeah,
that's like
that's
the
a
the
really good
scale
idea.
of it, right? Like that's how you gotta the scale of it. If you have a big one, it produces more, but it costs more to do. And if you have a little one, but pros and cons. But a
I
small little
wonder,
production thing would be sweet.
I feel like the small idea would be even better. You know what I mean? Just like keep it local, scale it down, and just like, you might have like a 5 gallon bucket of seeds or whatever, but like, man, a 5 gallon bucket of seeds will grow a lot of plants. And like a seed packet, has like 50 seeds in it or whatever, and it's like $2. A 5 gallon bucket of seeds could be worth a lot of money.
And I mean, it's also a good time to be making greenhouses. Like a dual wall poly greenhouse right now would
Yes.
be really clutch. And
I I actually thought of doing that myself. Because I was looking online. So I was stupid and I set up my hoop house like a couple weeks ago, and you know, it's been snowing there, it's been snowing here.
yeah,
My hoop house collapsed because of too much snow, and I was like, damn. I went online to like look for some new hoop house setups, and like sold out, just completely sold out. So I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to make this myself. And I started looking up how to make it, and you can buy just like the chain link top rails or whatever and bend them
the wiggle
yourself.
wire. Yeah,
And I was like, okay, I can do this. And I bought all the stuff, and I haven't made the like bending jig yet, but I'm gonna work on that. And once I like go through all the effort of dialing this in and figuring out like you need exactly like this width of plastic and like this many pipes and like you put them together like this. It's like, dude, I could totally just be like, yo, I'll show up to your house, I'll build you a greenhouse, $1,000. Like people are panicked or whatever. They have their like $1,200 stimulus check. Have you guys done a stimulus check yet, by the way?
I mean, yeah, it came out a while ago, but I don't have it. I should probably get on that, but I don't know. I don't even know if I'm eligible. But everybody that
Well,
applies gets it. But then, you know, apparently they'll track
I,
it down. But
well, that's what I thought too. And we were like, we're not gonna apply. We won't get it. Like whatever. And I checked my bank the other day, and they just like put it in. Like they didn't even give us a choice. They just like direct deposited it right to our checking account. And it was like, yo, like, how did you even like get the information to do this? Like you just like put money in my account. Like I I don't know. It was weird. It was super weird.
it wouldn't shock me. I mean, I get like direct deposit, so they know my banking.
Yeah, but like when you, I guess, yeah, just like from the taxes that they take out of there,
Yeah, you get
they
like your
probably have all the
rebate
information.
at the end of the year, put it right in your account.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Fucking shit is wild. It like you're that's a good idea thinking about the best business idea. I mean, that's probably right up there. Seed production and like a greenhouse, that's a good double whammy, you know? And like you like have clones, do like a little nursery thing.
Yeah. Well, I was also thinking like, yo, for $500, or whatever the price is, like I'll show up to your house. I'll like build some garden beds, fill them with soil, and like plant plant some seeds, set up some like drip irrigation or whatever, and like all you have to do is like turn this knob like a couple times a day or whatever. Just kind of do like pre-packaged gardens almost. You know what I mean? Where it's like any excuse you had for having a garden is taken away. That was an idea.
I agree with that, you know. That's the whole that's I would like to do something with blacksmithing. That would be cool. But
Yeah, me too. But it's just like, man, who? like where people's minds are at. You have to think of the like bigger picture of society and stuff. And I just don't see people wanting like super swaggy like blacksmith stuff or whatever right now.
Like a
People are more
dope
focused
gate,
on
like wrought iron.
that. I mean, dude, that would be so cool. Don't get
I've
me
seen some
wrong.
really cool ones. I'm not there, but like that'd be cool to learn.
It would be cool, but you also have to ask yourself how many how many people are out there who would want to, or who would even have enough money to drop on that. You know what I mean? Because you'd have to sell like a gate for like $1,000, $2,000 to like make it worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea about that part of it. It's just like something that I think would be a cool idea. Uh, I gotta
I
finish the fucking chicken coop. That's on my list. If I don't finish that chicken coop soon, you know, I'll go
yeah.
off working somewhere and it'll be like a year before I get back. Just the fucking way it goes.
Yep. That is the way it goes. First your money, then your clothes, as they say.
Well, it's getting on there. Do you want to call her there, or you got some more spring talking?
Uh, I'm pretty good. I think we can call it there.
Yeah, just a short one, but it's late and sounds like a good idea. Good talking to you
I
guys today.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Um, so we've decided on the tool making challenge, and I'll tag Zed in this, and it'll be good.
Indeed.
Uh,
Do that
when is
because I
the?
haven't seen any blacksmithing posts at him.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man. We've all been super busy in this lockdown, but it's like the perfect time to do it. What do you think it should be done by, like next Friday ish?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
give it a week.
yeah. All right. That sounds awesome, man. It was good
All
having you
right,
on.
thank you, sir.